warum? Ja, verdient. Junge, er macht die for Speed.
War ganz links.
Need for
Ja,
Speed Wall Race.
du kannst halt nicht,
Ja,
also da kannst du nicht weiter.
Er hat sich selbst gekillt, alles gut. Digga. Na, but for real, was ist das denn?
So what you just saw there were two incidents of intentional wrecking that occurred in the 24 hours of the Nürburgring at the weekend. But I just came across online, Twitter, YouTube, and unfortunately, these aren't isolated incidents. I have seen so many more over the past few weeks and months in my own races that I've been involved in, from more online clips, streams, and even my own community who have recently, a member in particular, just posted a clip of intentional wrecking that he experienced while in the lead of a race, which I'll show you shortly. But this is a plague that, yes, is just hitting iRacing at the moment, and it is still a small minority who are spoiling it for the majority, as it kind of genuinely tends to always be. But I feel like this group of people is just starting to grow, and it's starting to grow way too much. To be honest, one intentional wrecker is one too many for me. However, it's kind of something we're never entirely going to be able to remove. Of course, iRacing has the protest system in place to try and rectify this and deter people from intentional wrecking in the future. But we know that's not a foolproof system. And look, let's be honest, we all know that there are business decisions made behind those decisions as well. Whether, of course, iRacing will ever admit to that, I don't think they will, of course, in the sake of fairness. But look, every potential ban that they dish out is potentially a loss of income for them, because that person may never renew their subscription, because they may feel they're hard done by because of that ban and been treated unfairly, whether or not they were in the wrong anyway. Doesn't matter. So there is always that decision, and that's why it's on us as the community to get together and protest and gather the clips and the evidence for these intentional wreckers, to remove them, to force iRacing's hand, because most of the time these intentional wreckers are not first offenders. They are re-offenders. They do it on the regular. And the reason they get away with it is because we just aren't protesting them. And iRacing will more than likely not give people just a slap on the wrist, a warning first time around, which I think is right. So I do think that is right, to first warning. But we need to swiftly follow it up with these reoffenders with more and more protests. And in that way, they'll get banned quicker. And hopefully they'll rehabilitate, realize their wrongdoings, and yeah, never do it again. I don't know. I've still seen some people on the platform in regular series who just still behave in a manner that, even if it's not intentional wrecking, it's borderline, shall we say.
Car on your left, clear on the left. Left side, clear. Slow down, you got a penalty, we're cutting the course.
But why is this behaviour happening? Why are people just losing their temper and just their first fault, if they feel aggrieved at any incident, any racing incident, whether if it's their fault, they feel it's someone else's fault, if it's the result of netcode, they don't care. They just see red, and their first instinct is to use their virtual vehicle as a weapon and take out that person as well, because they feel like, well, if I'm going down, I'm taking someone else with me. And it's, why is it occurring? Well, iRacing is a victim of its own success. They've had massive growth since COVID. Of course, we know about the sim racing boom. It's great that sim racing has grown. It's no longer kind of this niche hobby anymore. So many more people own a steering wheel and pedals, whether it be on their desk or in a fancy rig, and iRacing has massively benefited from it. Of course, it helps that there's massive prominent real life racers such as Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and others as well from the world of racing who also love this platform and race it on the regular and take it seriously. But with that comes a lot more people who are venturing into the proper world of sim racing, or should I say not proper, the hardcore world of sim racing for the first time. From F1 games, from Forza games, from more kind of chill, laid back online games, online lobby games. And they're bringing the mentality of being able to crash other people out for a bit of fun onto iRacing. Of course, at the cost of their own wallet, because they're paying a monthly subscription and paying for tracks and cars, but that's neither here or there. They're still doing it and bringing that mentality across, and it's not something for the majority of people who play iRacing want to see. Not at all. And for those who will come back at me and say, oh, it's just a game, why are you taking it so seriously? Well, people do take it seriously. The Nürburgring 24 hours, I would hate to feel and imagine, I don't know, I can't imagine how those guys feel who were taken out in those two clips that we just saw. They probably put hours of practice in to that event. The Nürburgring is arguably the hardest endurance event of the year. You can't really just do that race without any practice at all. It's the loss of time that they've had for practicing up to that event, then the event itself, putting maybe family commitments aside and family time aside to do that event, and then for some short-tempered person, I'm not going to say kid, because we all know that there are plenty of adults out there who are very short-tempered, do exactly the same and act like that, and it's horrible. It's horrible. And if you're also saying, well, why are they taking it so seriously? Well, it's a big enough of an event that Max Verstappen, current F1 world champion, took time out of his Grand Prix weekend after qualifying on pole to do a couple of stints in the middle of the night for his sim racing team. So yeah, plenty of real world drivers value these events and this sim and the time on it and the enjoyment they gain from it and the seriousness, and they don't want to see it ruined by intentional wreckers. Now, Max has even done intentional wrecking in the past, which I also didn't agree with when he crashed into Sven that time. Of course, Sven was egging him on. Shouldn't have reacted in the way he did, and I don't think anyone should react in the way that they do in regards to intentional wrecking. It's not, it doesn't have a place on the platform, and we need to do our part to protest, clip it, send it in, and even if you weren't the one who was involved in it, to just remove these guys from the platform, because you could be the next victim of that person who has just done the intentional wrecking. If you're running the same races over and over again, you're probably going to come up across the same names again in the same splits. So yeah, if you aren't exactly the victim, send in a protest so that you aren't a future victim and on the receiving end. I'll admit I am a culprit of forgetting to protest. I'll say I'll do it, and then once the race ends, I get preoccupied with something else and I forget to protest. But I definitely am going to try my best to protest any of these scenarios and incidents that I see, because yeah, we want iRacing to be the best, to maintain and be, for me personally and my view, the best online racing experience that there is out there for sim racing. And yeah, big short video on it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you seen an uptick and a rise in intentional wrecking? Have you been on the receiving end of an intentional wreck? And well, are you an intentional wrecker? And if so, what's going through your mind? I'm keen to know. Let me know in the comments. We'll see you for the next one. Bye.